Man, oh man, it feels weird to be talking into Adobe Audition rather than Streamlabs. But this is one of these topics where, admittedly, there isn't really much meat on the bone. We're just going to be diving into a conversation, talking about a guy, talking about a situation, and hypothesizing more about the possibilities rather than what is actually available on a computer screen. So, sit back, relax, and enjoy as we watch some more of this NHL 25 footage, that in which I have not needed to record as much of lately because I kind of switched formats on this YouTube channel, as we take a look at a tweet made by NHL Rumor Report that dives into some comments made by Jeff Merrick on Daily Faceoff. The tweet is from July 17th. The video broadcast, or the podcast itself, was from July the 14th. Jeff Merrick went out there and said this on their show. The Canucks faced a dilemma with Artur Shilovs. The next question is Linus Karlsson. Do they hope they can sneak him through waivers? Do they have to trade him as well, so they don't lose him for nothing? And, okay, I'm gonna say this. So this comment was made by Jeff Merrick before the Dakota Joshua trade went down on Thursday. It was multiple days before the Joshua trade was set in stone. As a result, the way the Vancouver Canucks forward lines look might have changed from what Jeff Merrick was looking at back on July 14th to what the team projects to be displaying now. If you head over to the Vancouver Canucks and their daily face-off line combinations, you will see a certain number of guys in the bottom six. Once you get past the DeBrusks, Pedersons, Bessers, Canes, Hedels, and Garlands, you will find a bottom six that consists of Nils Höglander, Aatu Ratu Kiefer Sherwood, Max Sasson, Teddy Bluger, and Drew O'Connor. The thing is, there are maybe 2 or 3 guys that you could realistically say should be in the mix for being a Vancouver Canuck forward in next season's worth of play that isn't here on this graphic. You have guys like Jonathan Lekkerimäki, whom, I mean, it's already been displayed by Vancouver that they're not too reticent to have him start in the AHL. Okay, that's fine. You have Linus Karlsson, you have Archie Baines, and you could even say Nils Åman is in that boat as well. But for Linus Karlsson, he's a really interesting name because at this point of his career, he has waiver eligibility for the 2025 season and beyond. He can't go to the AHL scot-free. There will be a chance for every NHL team to get him for free if the Canucks decide to send Karlsson down. So, what's the situation with that? Do the Vancouver Canucks put him in the press box the entire time? Do they have him and Sasson rotating around in the bottom forward spot? What do they do with Archie Baines? How do the Vancouver Canucks manage the bottom of the lineup? And is it really just one Teddy Bluger trade away from stabilizing itself? You gotta remember, the Vancouver Canucks are planning to grab another center. They want to get another dude, whether that means a Bluger trade brings in another center or they sign somebody in free agency, that remains to be seen. But the forward spots, I mean, it's starting to become a little bit tight here with the addition of Evander Kane and even with the subtraction of Dakota Joshua. Linus Karlsson is in an interesting boat because Jeff Merrick bringing up his name as a potential dilemma for Vancouver kind of goes to show you just how much this guy has developed and improved. Linus Karlsson, might I remind you, was initially a San Jose Sharks draftee all the way back in 2018, and he was acquired by Vancouver in the Jonathan Dahlin trade. It was kind of funny to think about the transactions which led to Karlsson becoming a Vancouver Canuck in the first place. Vancouver traded Alex Burrows to Ottawa for Jonathan Dahlin. Then the Canucks traded Dahlin to San Jose for Linus Karlsson. And now, all these years later, after Alex Burrows slayed the Dragon and cemented himself in Canucks history, we are still seeing the prospect that Vancouver got as a result of that trade tree work his way onto the roster. And I say work his way onto the roster like he wasn't already there last season. Linus Karlsson for Vancouver had 23 games played and 6 points in the most recent campaign. But his stint should be highlighted by the incredible AHL production he had instead. 39 points in 32 games played, 23 goals, 16 assists, as well as 26 points in 24 games in the AHL's Calder Cup Playoffs, as Abbotsford went on to win the championship. Karlsson led the entire AHL playoffs in points and goals by a significant margin. He had 14 goals, the second most productive guy had 9. He was a total monster, and I think a lot of Canucks fans are starting to say, yeah, think about this guy when filling out the bottom of the lineup here. Waivers, AHL, nah, he's already past that. Just keep him in the National Hockey League and have him working out on that fourth line cooking. But there is also room to debate the fit. You can say, well, if you wanted to replace Dakota Joshua's minutes, would it not be more appropriate for a guy like Archie Bains to get in there, who can play more of an energy game, who can be more of a heavy forechecker? Linus Karlsson isn't necessarily that. You would prefer him to excel in an offensive role, but Vancouver might not have the need for many guys to do that. Right? I don't know. Evander Kane's up there, so is Kiefer Sherwood. We've seen guys who can forecheck and who can be physical, who can score goals, be placed on the wings. Dakota Joshua was that in the past. Does Vancouver really need a player like Linus Karlsson at this point? Obviously, you would like to have that depth for your AHL team and have that level of offensive potency available to your bottom six wingers, but can a guy like Linus Karlsson live up to the task of being a bottom six NHL player? You know it's going to be hard to dethrone a Brock Besser or a Jake DeBrusk or whatever if you're Linus Karlsson. It's just kind of impossible to do that. So either A, does Adam Foote distribute the sort of play style that he wants all of his forward lines to play? Does he give more of that responsibility to everybody rather than just saying, okay, yeah, this third and fourth line, these will be our checking lines. Only these guys need to be checking. Or does he say, okay, no, every line can check, every line can score, and we will work the lineup in that way to incorporate more goal support on the third and fourth lines as well? Is it that, or does Linus Karlsson just have to adjust himself? Because if he doesn't, and he's stuck in the press box the whole season, then okay, that's a wasted year. And if he gets sent down, I mean, he was the most productive AHL scorer last year in the playoffs, and one of the most in the regular season. There is a decent chance that he does get claimed. And so, at the end of the day, I do wonder whether or not Jeff Merrick has a good point here, if the Linus Karlsson situation is enough to think about him getting traded, if it's the same dilemma that the Vancouver Canucks had faced with Artur Shilovs. Of course, there's a lot more flexibility with Karlsson, because with Shilovs, it's like, okay, you're a goalie. There are only 2 goalies on a roster at a time. Usually 2, sometimes 3, but usually 2. There's only 1 goalie playing a game every game. And then there are only 2 goalies in the AHL. There's no room. And Shilovs is in a market where goaltending is kind of weak around the NHL right now. Linus Karlsson might not have the same immediate magnetic attraction from other teams, but he will still probably be valuable. Like, you wouldn't think a San Jose Sharks team would be looking at Karlsson and being like, yeah, that's a perfect guy to claim and add on to our team. He would fit very well with our Swedes. And he was drafted by us. There are a lot of questions with the Canucks forwards, Linus Karlsson, Archdeep Bains, etc. But with all this in mind, I want you to let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. How do you feel about the Linus Karlsson trade situation? And do you think there actually is a situation here, as Merrick is talking about? Let me know in the comment section all your opinions. I hope you enjoyed this video. And bye.